am so happy to see you today for another story time. Can you believe it's April already? It's springtime and it's so warm outside, even though I'm wearing a sweater because my basement's kind of cold. And there's just all sorts of things growing outside, and the grass is growing. There's little buds growing on the trees in my yard. I can't wait to see green leaves all over everything. I'm just really, really happy. I think being out in the sun helps do that, doesn't it? And if you're in school, or if you've got big brothers or sisters who are in school, you know that maybe this week was your spring break. So you've had extra people around the house to play with, which is always more fun than playing by ourselves, you know? And guess what? I have some big news. The library is going to be opening up. Now, we can't have story times in the library yet, but in a couple weeks, starting on the 19th, you can come in and pick out your own books. You can come in and browse and look around for books without having to make a phone call or do it on the computer and have us pull them for you. And you can come in, most importantly, and say hi. I can't wait to see any of you who want to come in and say hi, so I can say hi back. Anyway, I've got some stories today about strawberries, which are starting to grow, and it won't be too long before we get to pick them. And I've got another story about a dog, a cat, and a mouse working together. How crazy is that? You'll just have to wait and see how that works out. Let's get started. Clap your hands if you love stories. Clap your hands, I know you do. I'm so glad that we could be together. Glad to share a story time with you. So, the first story I have is about the first strawberries. And I mean the first. Like, this story is about before there were strawberries, and then there were. It's an old story. It's a folk tale from the Cherokee Native Americans. And it starts way back at the beginning of time, when there was just the first man and the first woman. And they lived together by the side of a big river. And they had everything they could want. They had plenty of fish that they could catch. They had plenty of wood to burn for fire to stay warm. They had berries and fruit from trees and fruit from bushes. And they were just completely content. Except, do you ever have trouble getting along with the people you live with? I think we all do sometimes. And sooner or later, this first man and this first woman started having trouble getting along. And it started with little things like, I wanted the pears for lunch. Why did you pick apples? Or how come you didn't clean up the room after we ate? And those little fights got bigger and bigger. And there was no one else around that they could be with. So all they could do was argue with each other. And finally, the first woman got so upset that she said, I can't live with him anymore. And she walked out the door and started walking away down along the river. Now the man was asleep. He didn't even know the woman had left. So when he woke up and saw that she was gone, he was really, really upset. He thought maybe something had happened. But he went outside and he looked and he saw her footprints and he started following them. But she had left a long time before he did. So the further he walked, he just could not catch up. She just kept going and he kept going on and on and on. Well, the sun was shining up in the sky and was looking down and watching all of this. And it thought that this was just really something it couldn't sit back and watch without saying something about anymore. And so it came down and said to the man, are you still mad at the woman? And the man said, no, I'm not mad anymore. I just want her back living with me. And the sun said, then I'm going to help you. I will help slow her down. And so the sun put out its warm, warm rays, touching the ground all around where the woman was walking. And it caused a clump of brambleberries to just grow up alongside where the woman was walking. And the berries were so shiny and dark among the leaves, and the woman's eyes caught on them. And she was tempted to stop and pick them. But she was still a little irritated, so she kept going. So the sun decided to shine again, and it shone even warmer on the path. It shone so bright and warm that a huckleberry bush. Do you know what a huckleberry is? You should look that up. They're really good. It grew up alongside, and she wasn't too familiar with huckleberries. She'd seen them a few times, but they were unusual enough that she slowed down a bit. And she thought about stopping, but she didn't. She kept walking, and the sun knew at that point that if he was going to stop her, he was going to have to help make something brand new that she had never, ever seen before. And so the sun shone its rays as brightly as it could, and it thought its most creative thoughts, and a bush sprang up with little white flowers and then little red berries that started growing out from them. And they were the world's first strawberries. And they smelled so sweet and so new. The woman had never seen them before, so she stopped. And she saw the bright red peeking out from under the leaves, and she picked one and she tasted it. And it was so good that she couldn't help but sit right down and start picking as many strawberries as she could pick. And by the time the man caught up to her, she was nowhere near angry anymore. She couldn't help but be so happy at the taste of the strawberries that the fight was long forgotten. And they gathered all the strawberries they could and took them back to their home. And maybe they argued again after that, but I think they learned some better ways to make up. Have you ever been berry picking? Do you know how to pick berries? I bet you do. Let's pick some berries together. We're going to start up high. You ready? Pick berries high. Pick berries low. Pick them from down on the ground. Pick berries on the bush, 3 in a row. Some like them red. Some like them blue. Here's one for me, and here's one for you. Let's do that one more time, all right? Pick berries high. Pick berries low. Pick berries on the bush, 3 in a row. Some like them red. Some like them blue. Here's one for me, and here's one for you. What's your favorite kind of berry? This is the story of the dog, the cat, and the mouse. And it starts in a place kind of like the last story we had. You see, the dog and the cat were pets in a house where a man and a woman were fighting. But this was a pretty serious fight because they were really, really hungry. And the reason for that was that the man had done something really, really not smart. The woman said to him, "It's your fault that we don't have any food." And the man said, "Why is it my fault?" And the woman said, "I told you when we were married that my mother's ring was magic, and it would keep anyone who had it in as much food as they wanted. It would keep all of our cupboards full. But you sold the ring, and all you got for it was an old horse who wasn't even a good horse. And now the horse is gone, and we have no food." And the man said, "Well, I don't believe in that magic stuff." And the woman said, "Yes, and that's why your pants are falling down, because you've lost so much weight. We don't have any food." And they argued, and they argued, and they argued. And the dog and the cat just sat back and watched them argue. And they weren't happy either, because well, there wasn't any food for the dog or the cat either. Well, one day the cat was lucky enough that she managed to catch a small mouse that had the misfortune to run by the house. It wouldn't have made much of a meal for the cat, but she was just sitting down to try to eat her mouse when the dog said, "Stop! Don't eat the mouse." And the cat said, "But this is my dinner." And the dog said, "But we need to be smart. We should be smarter about this." The thing about that mouse is that it's small. And the cat said, I know, but it's all that I have. And the dog said, but that mouse, if we kept it alive, could keep us in food for much longer. The cat said, it's a mouse, not a chicken. It can't lay eggs. The dog said, I know that. But think about this. A mouse that is small can get through small holes. And perhaps the mouse can help us get the magic ring back. The cat had to admit that that wasn't a bad plan at all. And so that night, the dog and the cat and the mouse, being carried in the cat's mouth, made their way out of the house and down the street and into town, where they came to the big mansion of the woman who had bought the ring and cheated the man with a not-so-good horse. And they peeked in the window and they saw every table was just full of food leftovers, because the woman who lived there, she was wasteful. She would wish she had a big cake, and then she would only eat a few bites and throw the rest away. It was not a good sight. And they waited and they watched. And finally the woman went to sleep. And the mouse was put onto the ground, and the cat said, now, I want you to go into that house, find a way in, and I want you to get that ring back if you think that your life needs to be saved. Well, the mouse was kind of worried, because mice have good noses for sniffing out food, but they're not so good for sniffing out gold rings, even magic rings. But that was the only thing that was going to keep that mouse from being a cat's dinner. So the mouse found a tiny little hole and squeezed through and sniffed around. And luckily, the woman had left that ring sitting on the table, and it glinted in the moonlight, and the mouse saw it. Picked up the ring in his mouth and scurried out of the hole, back out to the cat and dog, and dropped it on the ground and said, there it is. Now, please let me go. And the cat said, I don't think so, and raised its paw and was about to hit the mouse with its claws when the dog said, stop. We made a deal, and a promise is a promise. If we don't keep our promises, then we don't deserve to have that ring. The cat sighed, because the dog was right. A promise is a promise. And so the three of them made their way back home with the ring, where they left it on the table and went to sleep. And before long, the house was full of food once again, and the man and the woman weren't fighting anymore, and the dog and the cat had nice full bellies. And there was even plenty of crumbs left over for a very lucky little mouse. Okay, we're going to sing a song now called Stir the Soup. And we're going to make some soup, some pretend soup, when we do this song. So, as we talk our way through this song, we're going to keep adding ingredients. We're going to start with noodles. So it's that kind of soup, not a tomato soup or something else. And every time we're going to sing Stir the Soup, I want you to stir the soup for me, okay? And when we add the ingredient, and when we take a taste, we're going to act this out, you see? So here we go. You ready? Get your big soup spoon ready to go. Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some noodles, take a taste. Soup will make us strong. Make a muscle. We're gonna have some potatoes next. Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some potatoes, take a taste. Soup will make us strong. Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some carrots, take a taste. Soup will make us strong. It's a pretty good soup so far, you think? What's missing? Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some meatballs, take a taste. Soup will make us strong. I don't know. Do you like meatballs? I think we need some salt. Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some salt and take a taste, soup will make us strong. Oh, it's too salty. We need to make it sweeter. Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some ice cream. Take a taste, soup will make us strong. Ice cream in our soup. Well, what do we add next? I think our soup needs to be more fun. Stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some baseballs, take a taste, soup will make us strong. What should we add now? We've got baseballs and ice cream and stir, stir, stir the soup, stir it all day long. Add some fireworks, take a taste, soup will make us strong. This soup is very, very unsoup-like. That's okay, though. You can keep adding and make your soup however you want it to be. Just let me know when it's ready and I'll come over. I had a good time. I feel like this was a pretty good story time. The only thing that might make it better at this point is if I heard back from you and found out whether or not you liked it. And you could leave a comment, or you could send an email, or you could come into the library and say hi to me. And maybe tell me what other stories and things that you would like to have, what other stories you want to sing, and songs that you want to read. I can't wait till we can say hi again. Just wear your mask. All right, here we go. Let's see, get a big stretch. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head. And now your knees. Up to your shoulders. Like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. That's all there is. There isn't any more. At least not today. Next time. I'll see you next time.